Hey everyone, welcome to the Collector Chatter podcast. I'm your host Miguel here with my co-host Charlie. Today we're going to talk about some Funko restocks. They have been restocking some vaulted pops, including the chaos that happened at the Pop in the Box restock as well.
Yeah, man. So everyone, please make sure you smash that like button, comment, subscribe, and now let's chat about these crazy restocks and vaulted pops.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the topic that we wanted to say, which was the restock, specifically Funko restocking stuff, Funko restocking vaulted pops. We want to talk about the chaos and the craziness that happened with Pop in the Box recently. This was a couple weeks ago, and because we were off for a little week, we weren't able to talk about it. So we wanted to talk about it now. And we just kind of wanted to just go back and forth what we think about Funko in general when it comes to restocks and like all this crazy stuff that's going on. But I guess we can kick it off, I guess, with the Pop in the Box specific thing. So if you guys don't know, Pop in the Box obviously is a big major, retailer. They sell a lot of Funko products. They have their exclusives, etc. I've heard some great things about them. I've heard negative things about them. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but are they based out of the UK originally? And there's like a US
I
version
think
of
so.
them. I
Yes.
think that's like kind of the thing, right? Okay, so just kind of wanted to be, for sure. But either way, what happened was Pop in the Box obviously has a major site and they have a bunch of different pops. They do a lot of pre-orders. They have, different products,
They get
Funko, other
exclusives.
toys, exclusive, all that kind of stuff. And then they also have kind of like a vaulted like section, their restock section, whatever. And some point in some time they decided, well, I don't know what happened, but there was obviously a mistake in their system that decided to restock all these like vaulted pops. But I don't just mean like, oh, there's an old pop that's like, well,
Like
I'm talking about
grails.
grails. Yeah, like they, and it wasn't just one or two, it was literally like 30 or 40. It was like their whole section of these vaulted grails that we know as collectors and fans you can't get for less than $100 $200, or you're never going to find it because people don't want to sell these. And they were selling them at retail for $8.99 and $10 and like
Yes, which is too
an
good to be true.
insane number. Yeah. So everyone jumped on this. People were talking about it. All the pages in the world, Dish Tracker, Funko, all these different people were going crazy and saying like, okay, there's supposedly a Pop in a Box restock, and then there's errors and there's a mistake, and order at your own risk and yada yada yada. And bro, this thing was insane. But
It
it
was
obviously,
insane.
me and you said right away, we're like, there's no way this is real.
Yeah, we didn't think it was real right off the bat. I mean, so the first thing that caught my eye was the Netflix Daredevil pops, which have skyrocketed in popularity. If that was the only thing that restocked, I personally maybe could have believed it. I would have thought it was too good to be true. But at the same time, which we're going to be talking about in length during this, is Funko's strategy on restocks and vaulted pops. But then Breaking Bad was coming up,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. And then just like all these anime like crazy pops like that,
crazy grails,
crazy.
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, we know people who went after them, and like no harm in getting it, but I was just like in trying. But like Nick said, like we knew this was not real, and then ultimately wasn't, and it came out being that they had like computer issues, and they said that these were in stock. Because like one thing that's super weird about their website is like they lived still on the site, and it just says sold out, and it says sold out forever. Like they don't just like most companies would pull it down. I just find that really strange, which makes what happened like I can see maybe why it could have. It's believable if someone messed something up in the code that they publish live to the website, because they still have these things living on there. They should just pull them down. Like that
That's
Daredevil pop shouldn't
literally
be
probably
there.
why that happened.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's exactly probably why it would happen.
And it only makes you think that if they do that, it means that they're gonna restock, or they're gonna get it available so that they don't have to put up the item. They could just say that they have the item now, or whatever it may be in the back,
exactly.
in the back of it. But yeah, I thought it was crazy. Like you said, the Daredevil one was like kind of the initial one, and everyone's like, oh my God, They restocked Daredevil. They restocked Matt Murdock. Like obviously these ones that we knew were like hot and like the value went crazy. And then the anime world went nuts. It's like
Yeah.
the community of anime fans, the fact that they had like tons of these like OG Attack of Titan,
Yeah,
which is
Attack
like
on
the big
Titan.
one.
Yeah.
Those are like the ones that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars for every version that is out there. You can never find these. They're crazy grails, yada yada. So I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. And then I started looking through the site and I'm looking and I'm like, bro, like, first of all, like Joey said, the Breaking Bad pops are up there. And I'm like, what? And they're $9. And I'm like, this is insane. First of all, $9, which is cheaper than a normal
Yeah,
pop. So
because
I'm like,
it was
this
the
is insane.
old price too that they
Yeah,
never
exactly. That's
changed on the
exactly what it
website.
was. It took the actual thing and they just made it live, essentially, is what they did. And then we're talking about Death Note pops, which I have two of, I think there's only five that exist in the line, and they're all grills. I have two of them. Their value is actually going up. And it's funny now that I think about it. Like, I wonder if their value went up because of this whole little thing,
Yeah.
too, because their value was always high, but it's now getting even higher. And some of these other ones are there. And I'm like, what the hell? And in the back of my head, I'm like, what if they ship these? That'd be kind of cool. But then because there was so many of them, and like we follow a lot of pages and different Instagrams and YouTube and stuff. And like one of the big ones that I saw, like Pop Savage was all over this, and he was like, this is crazy. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way. But another one was Dr. Applesauce, which he put up like a quick video or a live, whatever. He had a post, and like he said it best. He was like literally like, look, like all these, and he's a big anime fan. So like he's like naming all these
Yep.
crazy anime pops out there were like grails, and it went up, and he's like, listen, he's like, there's no way that this site would restock this many grails.
Exactly.
And it'd be different, like if you said, if it was one line, it was three or four pops, all of a sudden they happen to get some in or whatever, and they restock it. Maybe it's only one or two and it sells out once
Or
you
they
buy it.
found it
But
in a back
and they,
room.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But everyone in their whole section was, and there was some people that were literally like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna go on and order." I placed my order, boom, boom, boom. It says processing, yada yada. But then what happened was like, I understand like you did that, but you just did it for no reason because they started canceling every order, which
yeah,
okay, that's fine. And if you did get charged, now they have to refund you, which I'm sure
which is
that's
not
kind of a
worth it.
pain in the ass. You have a problem. So like good for you. Like you can have a cart that says like, look, I picked this up, but like we knew it wasn't gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting. It was something that kind of went nuts. You know, the community was going wild, and it was like, look at all these grails, and like you just the fact that you saw where you're like, look at all these grails, and it was like ones that you know don't really exist anywhere to buy, especially at $9. Like, come on, that's just crazy. But I think it's just kind of like you said, it's back to their site and like the fact that they still have these up. And I do know of some sites that do that. I always find it kind of interesting. Like another pretty big site, and they're kind of local to us. I've talked about them with you a lot because I do want to visit them at one point. It's Undiscovered Realm.
Yep.
And they're like, you know, a local comic shop. They're not this huge major retailer, but they're pretty big and they have a pretty good size website. I think they do the same kind of thing where if something sells out, like it'll just say like sold out. And I've also seen that with some soda sites, like Gemini will do that for a little while, it'll be sold out. But normally it
They'll
means
come
that they're gonna
back.
get more or they'll stock it, which makes sense. But like with these grails, like are you just trying to like flex on people like I sold this before, so like it's on my
Yeah.
site,
Like,
like
we
you
know you're
know?
not getting the Jesse Pinkman pop. Like, it's
Yeah, like,
just
it doesn't
not. Yeah.
matter. Like you don't need to have like, yeah, you don't need to have it up and show that it's sold out. Like, no, just show your inventory of what you have.
Yeah.
So like there's been a lot of back and forth with Pop in the Box. I know people didn't like the way they ship sometimes, they take forever, they cancel orders, whatever it is. There's always been something that I've heard in my ear about them that already kind of gave me a bad taste with them. Like I've ordered from them, obviously. I did a video recently where I opened up the Iron Man Get Your
Yeah. Which
Pop,
is
where he's
so
like,
funny. That's where
which
you
was
got that
through
from.
them, and I don't even remember doing that, and it took so long for this pop, which is in stores, to finally ship to me for me to get it. And that's another reason why I was like, this is why I don't really go through them. I feel like, and I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
why I did at that point, but whatever.
I
But
legitimately have two pops from there. They were exclusives, and like
yeah,
I
that's
got them
another thing.
after
They
the
have their
fact.
own
They
exclusive.
have
So
like some pretty good exclusives, and they're also known for like restocking their exclusives hardcore. Like, if you miss out
mhm.
on one, you're gonna be able to get it. Don't worry about it. Just for everyone who's listening that doesn't already know that.
Yeah. So we have like our own little things with them, but like it was kind of funny that it was them that this happened to, that the everyone went
It
nuts.
was huge.
But I think it's a bigger thing that we really wanted to get into based off of this is just restocks in general, right? Like just Funko, Funko restocking things. and even restocking vaulted pops, because even though this was kind of like fake, we've seen vaulted pops, not grails
Yep.
necessarily, not like 50 of them, but we've seen them be restocked, and we've seen it done through Funko. And I wanted to ask you, like, what are your thoughts in the sense of like, do you think Funko just continues? And we kind of touched on this at one point in an episode where it was like, do you think Funko's remaking these old school molds, or do they just have leftovers and they just had so much and now they're just throwing them back on there? Like, what do you think they do with these kind of things? Because these vaulted pops
Yeah.
are clearly not necessarily vaulted if they're still being resold.
Yeah. So they're definitely not like stuff that's been laying around. They either have I actually think they may have remade the mold, or I mean, who knows? So I doubt they really keep all these molds. Like there are certain parts that they do, but there's certain characters like, okay, they need a separate one. I think they're looking at popularity and they're looking at, okay, we may have collectors who weren't in, like, there's people who collect for value, there's people who collect for the love of it, and then there's a little in between. I don't collect for value, but I like that I have the OG blue box Star Wars ones, just because like I think it's cool that I have those. I do think it's weird though. Now Funko recently just restocked slash took them out of the vaults, some of them, and they put them back on their website. They're in a different box though now.
Mhm.
I really was excited to talk about this, but as we're talking, I go back and forth whether I like it or not. I think it really just depends on your opinion of collecting. Like it's cool for certain people that they have the opportunity to like get this pop, but I also look at like I'd rather just get a new Chewbacca pop at this point that is like a new one that's been made, knowing that like this isn't the real OG one, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think like that. I don't think everyone thinks like that though. So that's
Yeah.
like the thing. But
Yeah.
like I can also see, like you said, I could see the other side of like, if you don't have a Yoda OG looking pop and then Funko restocks it and it's retail price, like, okay, I'll go grab it. But the only thing I could say with Funko specifically is that when they do this, generally that pop, one thing is that they don't usually do this once. There's usually a few different
Yeah.
runs of that pop in a couple different years, right? And then two, that pop probably really doesn't have value,
It
even
doesn't.
though we think like, okay, it's the original one, it should have that type of value. It doesn't for whatever reason. And I always like, I know you bring up Star Wars because it's more near to what you specifically collect and like you know about. And then I always go back to the horror pops, because the Freddy Krueger pop, the OG Freddy Krueger pop gets restocked all the time. The OG Mike Myers pop gets restocked all the time. And it's the OG mold. They're number one, two, and three, them and
Yep.
Jason of the movies line. Like that's the first ones that ever came out, and they're worthless. They're literally just normal common value to them. So like, because there's so many that constantly come out now, yeah, it's a popular character, so obviously that makes sense. But I find it weird that they do that with like these old OG molds, because like I feel like if you were a brand new collector and you're just collecting different things, and then you go, oh, look at this cool Freddy Krueger pop, and it's the OG mold, and you're like, boom. And then you go in and you're like, oh, look at this cool Mandalorian pop. Oh, that's cool. And like these are your two fandoms, right? And you just
Yep.
got one of the new Mandalorian pops. Then you go and you put your collection down, and someone's like, oh, you collect these Funko Pops? Oh, those are cool. And they're like, why does that one look so different than that one? Didn't you just get those? And then you're like, oh yeah, yeah, but this is the Freddy Krueger one. And you're like, but that's like plain. And like this has so much detail. Like, how is that a thing? How are these sold together? You know,
Yeah.
like in my mind, I would think that would be weird.
It's
Like,
weird.
obviously, we're collectors, we have thousands and hundreds and whatever of pop, so we can see the differences. But like, I just think it's odd that they do that. Like, again, if you're the first time collecting, cool. That's kind of how I got some of those OG ones. Like, I didn't start collecting when the movie line started. So
Yeah.
when I got Freddie and Michael, because I'm a huge fan, they were essentially were restocked. They weren't the OG year. Like if I could look at the boxes, they're older, but they're not the oldest box. Even Grails, even my Ghostface has been restocked technically like 2 different street dates. So like that happens obviously. Does it hurt like Funko? Does it hurt the values? Like that's a whole nother issue. But
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when it comes to like the term vaulted pops. I think that's where we're kind of like, this doesn't sit right with some people because we actually saw this. What was that one that they was like 2 or 3 kind of recent? We brought it up at one point, I think, where
Yeah.
there were vaulted pops and people were really, really upset that like they were actually being restocked. And I can't remember who it
Me
was,
either.
but they've done this, I feel like, a few times.
They just shouldn't use that term anymore. Like the vaulted pop, and then look at it's not vault anymore. Like they specifically, like obviously, if you're a Funko fan and you're listening to this podcast or watching us, you clearly probably have the Funko app. And like when you click on the pop within it, it like it says like the year came out and like vaulted.
Yeah.
They should just stop that. And you know what? Maybe they come out and say like those OG characters, like we will make these like I rather than be made forever, if this makes sense, than not make them. Years go by. Oh, let's make that OG Yoda again. And then stop it and then bring it back, like back and forth. Or it's just like, okay, you know you can always get this OG Yoda pop forever. And then I'm like, I'm much more cooler with it if it's that way rather than them just like, I know some people were freaking out, like even myself for a second. And then I'm like, okay, Charlie, don't be dumb. Rethink this. Like Funko put on all those OG Disney pops.
Yeah.
And one thing
It
they
was like
did
right
that,
before the Star Wars ones. Yeah.
one thing they did, which was not cool in my opinion, was they showed the Disney store. They didn't even have like the decency slash like, let's actually show the box it comes in. And I noticed some people were like, wait, this isn't the box the image showed. Like, I got a different box, which you should have known you weren't. This is going back to like the pop in the box. Like, you're probably not going to get the OG Disney store box, but they did show the picture that way, which I thought was not cool.
Yeah, because they just recycle the glam shot. They're not gonna
Ex-
redo that, right? Why
exactly.
would they do that? That's literally what that's essentially what they do with all of these, if you think about it. Because sometimes we get some glam shots where you're like, that doesn't even look like the pop. But yeah, I just think it's just odd that they do it. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I like don't like the fact, like I don't mind the vaulted thing, like you said. Like you said you would rather them kind of just sell it. I don't mind if they say like, we won't sell this anymore. This was made during this year, this was all it is. But like, if they're gonna do that, you don't ever take it back out.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I meant like doing what they're doing now. If it's vaulted and they say they're never making it again, yes, you just don't make it again. That's that way with any collectible, and then you get the opportunity to get the new. I'll go back to Yoda. He's my favorite
Like a
character.
whole
You get
different,
the
yeah,
new
version
Yoda
or
pop,
whatever. Yeah.
which like you're still able. That the thing I like about that, which is awesome about Funko, you can still partake in your favorite fandom by getting that Yoda pop. You don't need the original one. We're always giving you an opportunity one way or another to get a Yoda, a Vader, Chewbacca pop. We just come out with new ones.
Yeah.
It's like
But I see, that's why I think like, I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking too much of like putting Funko too high on a pedestal, but like that's why I can't wrap my head around the fact that they would actually physically remake an old mold.
yeah, they must just have those. Or what they should have done, which I've been thinking a lot about, is they should pretend that they're like they should change the box and say it's like a classic OG mold and like kind of make it a
Throwback
line.
line or
Yeah,
something.
the throwback. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, because the
Because
boxes change. The boxes are the things that they always have no problem changing. Like we've seen boxes change, whether it's like Star Wars with colors and
But Star
different
Wars seems
versions.
to be like the main one that like if you see the like the old ones and you see like the it's not got that black box, but they don't do that for everything. Like they don't do that for your
No,
hard
no.
ones, right?
Yeah, so no. So as far as like literally changing the box, like from like Star Wars was no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the one that does that. But they do change the boxes with other versions where it comes like the when you look at the bottom of the box, it's completely different.
Yeah.
An OG bottom of a box, like I have, let me see, like this one, the regular one, right? Like the OG, if you guys are watching, like the OG pop boxes were usually like this.
Yes.
Very plain Funko. You got the
And their
big
logo's different now.
face. Yeah, the logo's obviously different. You had the big face here, and you got the years, right? Then they changed and they were imprinted the years. And then now the box has so much stuff, and then like the
The
code
barcode
and
now.
like the
Yep.
different barcode and everything. And like, yeah, that changes, but it's so much crazy that you can see like a pop, like I keep bringing up like the Freddy Krueger, but like the Freddy Krueger OG one, the Freddy Krueger newer one, like the box looked the same, like it still said, you know, Pop and Freddy, whatever, but the bottom was different. So they did change the box. Like right away, maybe you don't know. With the Star Wars one,
Yep.
that was more dramatic. It was like literally a color change. But like I like what they did with that, where it was like you had a first wave OG blue box, right? Then they switched it up and they're like, they basically said it. We're redoing these in a different box. But think about it, the value of the blue boxes stayed high because you knew that was the OG
G1.
blue box. That's not what they do with other pops.
No, you're
When they
right.
do it with the other pops, they just keep redoing it randomly, and there isn't value given. Even though we're not huge on value, there's no value given to that first version, which I think that's kind of like messed up, because it's like there should be something
Yeah, because
that
they do
like
that.
they do with the blue box type
They're
thing.
very big on doing that, I think, with the OG Marvel pops. That's another thing that Funko recently restocked. And it's like, you look at if you have the original Captain America, like Wolverine, it's kind of like that doesn't really have any value, which is
Yeah,
insane to
Wolverine's
me.
one of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wolverine's one of them. Yeah.
Like, once again, yeah, I know we're not huge value people, but like if you have the original one, it's cool to know that it's worth something because you've had it for that long, you know, you've kept it in good condition, where knowing someone can just go get that Wolverine one now and they're not differentiating. Because it's funny, I did get one pop from Funko recently with the unvaulted slash restock. I got a Carl one from Pixar. I never had that pop, and they don't really make many new, like they haven't actually made another standard one of him alone. They made one of him in the new Disney Plus Doug show.
Yeah.
But he, has flowers all around him. And I just wanted it for my collection. But like you said, everything about it looks like it's the real OG one, but the bottom has that new like scan, download the app,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it says the year. Um, so
It's just weird
yeah,
though. You think that's weird? See,
no,
like
I do think it's weird.
I have one of the OG looking Wally. Like I think
Yep.
I had, and I got it off Funko clearly a couple years ago, and it obviously originally was
Yep.
older, but it was because I didn't have one of those. I was like, I'll take one of these, and it's like it's like I think I did that even with like a Yoda or something. Like one of those things. I was like, I just kind of want to have that character, so it was cool that I was able to get it. So like I'm not knocking the fact that like
Yeah, I know.
they're
Me
making
either.
it available. I just think it's how they're doing it is just a little weird. And it kind of like collecting to me has like multiple layers, right? Like there's collecting like where you can get everything that you can get. You have accessibility to certain things. You have so many different characters and things that you can collect. But there's still an aspect to collecting where like having something original matters.
Yeah.
And like there's a reason why people collect, obviously we collect toys and vinyl figures, but there's a reason why people collect old papers and memorabilia and pocket knives and watches and things that are old
Yep.
and are original are more collectible than like something that's just remade hundreds of times. And what Funko is kind of annoying at is having both
Yeah,
and
it's
not
weird.
like having one, like that's what's weird.
They're
And like I don't know
really
if that's a good thing or a
hitting.
bad thing.
I know. I go back. Is it a good thing? Is a bad thing? Like, I have the, devil and angel on me. And it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, I like it for one aspect. Like I said, you can like enjoy what you want to enjoy. And Funko is like basically telling you that. Like for me, I wanted that Carl Pop because I didn't have it. And now I can have it. And I know it's not the original, but it's also then funny. It's like if you're an out of box collector, I mean, it's funny. I kind of want to take it out of the box to see if there's even a year on the actual pop. Because if there
Yeah, because
isn't,
some of them I think do, But that would be where it comes into what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, are they remaking these, or is it literally just stuff sitting around? Like, and
Yeah.
maybe they just repaint it or something,
No, I know. It's just a very interesting topic, which I'm happy. That's why we're talking about it. It's just, yeah, everyone, let us know what you think and what your opinion is on it. It's just, I think it's only gonna get, I don't know if worse is the right word, but they're showing like they're, but then it's because it's funny. There's so many different layers to this. It's also, they're probably trying to appease like new collectors who are like, I wish I had one that looks like that. But we're talking about
of
how
course,
much we
yeah.
love the detail of the new ones. Like it's just,
I've always said that, and I mean, like, I think when I did a lot of my videos, you guys haven't checked it out on my Puck Mix channel, and I did my grails. I had a couple videos in a row,
yep,
a run of when I was picking up my grails from my good friend, and a lot of them were DC ones. Like, you can see a bunch of them here. When I would pull these out, like, one of the things I always said was like, "Wow, this is amazing! I love the mold. Like, I love." It's funny because it's so simple. It's blocky. They look very similar, but like, just seeing that after seeing so many other detailed pops is cool because it's different. You
yeah,
know, it's original. You know, it shows the lifespan of Funko. It shows like where they came from, and that adds more than just a monetary value, in my opinion. Like, just having that and whatever. So I can see why that is exciting for somebody, even if they are a brand new collector. Getting an older pop would kind of add that. And I don't think it's just the fact of like it's an older pop, so it costs more money, it's more valuable. No, it's like it's an older pop because it's been around longer. It's like, look at the, like, some of these boxes are in pretty damn good condition and
yeah,
they're like 8 years old and things like that. Like, like that to me is like cool, so like buying a brand new version of an old mold, although it's weird, you still can kind of get the like, all right, well, this is cool because it looks plain. Like you said, if you're not a box collector,
yep,
then even better, you take it out of the box and you can't even tell. But it's an interesting like back and forth. I think that we both kind of,
yeah,
deal with. And I would love to hear kind of like what everybody else like thinks about this, because maybe you're completely on one side, maybe you're completely on the other side, or maybe you're in the middle, like with us. But like, it's interesting to see. I want to see kind of like the consensus of what people think out there in terms of like, are you fans of these older pops versus a new? Do you like that Funko gives you the opportunity to restock these? I think restocks in general are kind of hit or miss with Funko, because even with brand new pops, people get excited over, pops dropping and boom, they sell out, right? Like the Scooby
yep,
pack that sold out recently, or like the diecast pop and boba one that recently came out. Like, it's exciting, you got it. And then Funko will just be like, well, we have some extra ones, here's a restock, good luck, now go buy these.
yeah.
And like, I feel like if you missed it, you're on the boat of like, nice, I have another chance, I can get it. But if you had it originally, there's something about like you also feeling better that you were the one of 10 versus now you're the one of 20, right?
I agree.
Like, that kind of like, to me, I feel like that's like an internal thing that people will still kind
Which
of.
is what makes the NFTs fun, and like you can get them on the secondary market, but if you miss that drop, there's no more coming.
Yeah,
Which, like, it stinks when you don't get them, but I'm fully accept the fact that if I want to get them, I'm now going to have to pay a premium, or it just, I didn't get them. It stinks, but I didn't get them, which is what
yeah.
collectibles normally really were. I mean,
Absolutely. Yes, that's
yeah,
exactly that does a fact. That's why I'm saying like having things be limited and even if they're not limited piece count number sticker, the fact
yeah,
that they're limited and they no longer exist, I still think adds to like the whole collecting. And I don't mind Funko restocking, whether it's a strategic thing of them saying, I have 100 of these, we're gonna put 80 of them up, they sell out. Okay, now we'll put 20 of them up because we
yeah,
actually had 100. Like, even though they do that, I don't mind when like with the Boba is a very good example. Boba Fett diecast went out, sold pretty quick within half hour, and then the next day, I think, or even
it was
later, whatever it
quick.
was, later in the day, whatever
Yeah,
it was, they dropped more. They said it was a restock, and then they sold out, and now they got taken off the site, which means they're probably not gonna do it again. That to me is an okay restock. The perfect example of what isn't a good restock is the Pietro pop. Pietro, even though we hated that we didn't get it,
Yep.
I would rather have not actually got it because now that pop is worth shit. It's
I
still a
agree.
cool pop,
Yep.
but the hype was all around it. It dropped. No one, you sold out, boom. And then months later, whatever it was, like they
It came
randomly like,
back.
oh, guess what? Here's some more. And they just threw it out there. And now it's like nothing. They did the same thing with a bunch of like anime pops that
Yep.
were like exclusives. They do it a lot with Funko exclusives, which is annoying. But like that, I don't like. Versus like if you're gonna immediately do it, okay, guess what? We have extra more. Here's another chance. You're different time zones are crazy for people. All right, you have an opportunity. I understand that. But like that after that, that's it. That's what makes it a collectible. That's what makes it like if you didn't have time, you couldn't jump on. That's the way it is. That's why there's an after, a
Yeah.
third
And if you wanted,
market to
yeah,
aftermarket to buy it later. Like that's why that exists. But I don't know. That's kind of like my take on it, I guess, because I'm one of those people like I'll hate it that I didn't get it, but I'm also okay with that because I understand that that's the name of the game,
I
and
agree with
not
you.
everything should be getting restocked. And I guess is like my overall.
Especially, yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just funny because it made me think of like, back in the day when like the hot Christmas toy was coming out, and like I loved Power Rangers, and like you'd have to like, I know my mom waited in line to like get me the action figures or whatever, but like it's just funny because you think about like that aspect of a restock, and like you knew if you missed it out maybe that time, like you knew more would maybe eventually come until the point like they don't anymore, which is kind of a little bit what you're saying, what maybe Funko has done in the past was just now with the Boba one. Maybe it restocked a few times and then went away. I completely agree with you with the Pietro one, like where that it was just strange. But as you're bringing that example, I'm curious if that has anything to do with the pandemic and like production, and they just didn't, because like they haven't really done that again with like a lot of big ones. Like, have they? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm
Maybe
just
not with the
curious.
Gap, but I mean, I know they've done like is what's the Tanjiro or what's that one? There's one of those ones recently that restocked like 3 or 4 times, I want to say. And there was another pop. I'm
Like,
pretty sure it's an anime pop that like had restocked a bunch, and it like completely plummeted the fact of like how
the
it wasn't
value of it.
exciting and like whatever
Okay.
it was. And like it's a handful. It's not like this happens all the time, but it's just an example of like how like that could happen. Now, again, is it production? Is it something? Of course, it could totally have been that, but like I'm just hoping it's not just them trying to get more money. Like I mean, even it's happened even with diecast. The Iron Man restocked 2 different times in a pretty spread out
Yep.
time period, if you think about it. So like I don't know. I understand if they suddenly get stock or stuff's getting shipped late. Like, yeah, of course they're gonna sell it. They're not gonna just sit on their shelves. But I just think it's like it's a weird thing that I don't think
Yeah.
like is as like
What do you think
beneficial
of
to.
how, to change from the Funko shop, but Hot Topic now has turned into like a joke where it's like they restock forever. Like if you miss out on something, you'll get it. And like it seems to like back in the day, I don't think it was that way, but now it really is. Like if you miss out on an exclusive, like odds are you're gonna get a chance to get it, a year down the
Yeah.
line, they come back. Like I think that's strange.
That
Like,
yeah, that and that's the same kind of scenario, let's say. So like maybe not specifically Funko Shop is
yep,
kind of what I was talking about then. Yeah, because that does happen in Funko in general. I guess that you could say like where a year later, all of a sudden you're getting a ton of restocks, and it's like it's just one of those weird things. Like are they just remaking them because they know it's popular and they can make money? Because I think that's the motive and that's what they're doing. That's a little messed up. Versus like it's delayed shipment that all of a sudden these things weren't able to get over to them and now they do, and they have an overflow of stock. Now they're just gonna
yeah,
sell it to us again. So I don't know, I think it's kind of a battle, something that we don't ever really truly know how it's happening. But I think just looking at it from the outside looking in, it's something that doesn't give good taste in your mouth when you think like, well, why do they keep doing these random restocks of things that should be a little bit more exclusive? And I guess that also shows you like that they just make so much
yeah,
of some of these products. And I mean, like a perfect example is that Macy's. Grogu. Like they clearly made so many of
I
those.
know they acted like that was gonna, yeah, like they acted like that was gonna be exclusive. And like it's so funny for someone who was really excited about that pop. I did get it. To know now they're giving it away as a freebie
Yeah,
really, sucks. But I look at that like going back with the exclusive game, that should have only been sold, in my opinion, at Macy's in New York
yeah.
City during the
Limit
parade.
them.
And if
Yeah.
you're there, it's awesome. And like I wouldn't have been upset, like I wanted it, but it's just like now it's like it became a joke of a pop that I actually thought was pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
it's
It's something that I think is gonna be kind of
I just
it's
wish
kind of nuts, but
I wonder what, like, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, Funko is all about the bottom line, but it's like, do they sometimes I'm like, do they not think of themselves as a collectible company anymore and they're more of a toy? Like, because they're two, I mean, they are two separate things because toys are just mass produced and there is no like real collectible value to them because there are so many that are flooded in the market, which I guess is what they say their commons are. Even though like I even sometimes it's like once a common has kind of like reached its point of the movie's no longer, being pushed or it's not relevant anymore. I mean, there's so many commons who that become grails. um
yeah.
just the whole exclusivity thing though too, it just makes everything, they're not upfront about like what should be exclusive. They use that term way too loosely, which I also think is an issue with the whole restocks, the vaulted, and all that jazz, like in the community, because like Hot Topic exclusive, in my opinion, used to feel like, okay, this was an exclusive pop. All they're really saying is you can only get it at
You can only
Hot
get it there. Yeah,
Topic.
exactly. Yeah.
Like,
And I think that's what exclusive has changed across the board for
yes,
them with all the
exactly.
retailers, for instance, and
Yeah.
Funko Shop specifically. Because even Funko Shop used to be, in my mind, of limited
I could
pop that
never
would
get
only
them.
come out in Funko. Yeah. And
Yeah.
now it's like, no, it's just another common pop. We just have a sticker on it and you can only buy it through the site.
Yeah.
And I think that aspect of exclusive is what isn't seem like as exclusive as you would think. And I think it's because they also have the other version of exclusive, which is more limited and more like whatever, that's why we bring that up. If that didn't exist and it was always a common number of pops, but only at one location, then you would think, okay, exclusive just means it's only at that location.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we don't think that, because there's other exclusive, which means it's less of it, or whatever it is.
Yes.
So that's definitely like, I think it I don't know. I think overall, just kind of like to go back to just the
Yeah.
topic and the main thing that we are talking about, just with restocks in general, I think it's a tricky situation. Like I really do want to hear from everyone, because I think some people may agree and like the fact that they do restock. Some people don't. Again, people collect for different reasons, and like you said, it might be more the value base, it might be the love of collecting, it might be a mix of it. And I think based off of that, your answer may be different on
I
like
agree.
how you feel about restocks and and all these type of things. So definitely let us know. But definitely it was an interesting thing with Pop in the Box and how that all came about. It kind of just shows you how wild people can get for some of these things, especially these good, because like I said, these weren't just general restocks, they were grails. They were literally restocking grails, and they obviously weren't really restocking them. But um it goes to show you that some of these sites don't have everything perfectly
They don't.
under
Or
control.
I just thinking like, or was it the most brilliant PR stuff for Pop in the Box
Oh
ever?
yeah,
Because
get people to be all over this stuff, whatever.
everyone was
But I'm sure
talking
people are just
about
hating them now even more
I
after the
it
whole little
backfired. Yeah.
mishap. So it definitely backfired. But I think that's gonna be it for the
Yeah.
topic. I mean, this was a great talking point for us. We definitely wanted to bring this up. The Pop in Box thing just kind of like solidified it. But I know for a while now we want to talk about kind of restocks and like what's going on with
Exactly.
like these whole vaulted things that Funko like says are vaulted and are not, whatever. But definitely give us your thoughts. If you're watching here on YouTube, please make sure like, comment, subscribe, like we say. And if you do comment, let us know in the comments what you guys think about some of these vaulted pops and your thoughts on restocks in general. If you're listening over on the podcast avenues, we really appreciate you guys as well. But make sure you pop over to YouTube. You can definitely comment down there for us as well, just to kind of give us a better idea. I just kind of want to hear from the community, kind of see what you guys think.
Exactly, because
about
it's
this
such
over
a
there.
hot topic, and just comment because we we always respond and we love talking to you. And like, like I said, just subscribe. It's free, it's easy to do. Just hit that button, and so we can, get out to more people. And but we really appreciate everyone's support.
Yep. Take it easy, everyone. Until next week. We'll talk to you later.
Bye everyone.